Hey, this is a review show with me, my Uncle Jay. It's Untitled. I'm Kyle.
I'm Uncle Jay.
And recently, I got my Uncle Jay into a band called Diane Ward, and he really enjoyed it. It's not usually your style of music, eh?
No, not normally. But I like the fact that it's different. It's not like, if I were to describe it, I wouldn't describe them as anything other than different. You can't really categorize them because there's like rap, but it's not rap.
Yeah, it's not like hip hop. Sometimes they tell stories.
Yeah.
And I find their music videos is the most appealing thing about it.
That's sort of what
You do that thing.
Today I decided we were gonna watch Chappie. I thought that'd be a good choice because it feels like basically a 3-hour long music video with Diane Ward.
Yeah, when you realize they're a band.
Yeah.
Like I did. I was like, wow, I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it that much more actually after watching all of their, most of their music videos. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. I actually almost thought maybe the movie, I don't know if you were thinking this too, but the movie was almost like basically based around the band.
Yeah, it made things a little confusing, but you definitely had to suspend your disbelief when watching it, which wasn't an issue, and once again made it feel like a music video, because that's generally a thing you have to do in them. Because if you notice, they are playing themselves, but they're not in a band. They're Ninja's character is Ninja, Yolani's character is Yolani, and the guy's wearing a Diane Ward hoodie at one point, but they never really address that they're a band,
And the graffiti in the background also.
Yeah, that's what really made it feel like a Diane Ward music video, is a lot of their stuff is shot in warehouses or abandoned factories. They spray it all up and stuff.
Yeah.
One thing you pointed out that you noticed that after a while I noticed too is there's a lot of fives in the film.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was reference to Short Circuit.
A lot of the scenes felt like homages to existing robot movies.
RoboCop.
Yeah, the whole plot was RoboCop.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's painting something, and he does the scan thing where he goes back and forth, kind of like how iRobot does when he's thinking about his dream. And in Iron Giant, he uses Superman as inspiration to be good. And there's a scene in Chappie where he's watching He-Man, and he's mimicking him.
You're right. I was getting RoboCop. I was getting Short Circuit.
Well, especially with RoboCop, considering that the protagonist is as a humanoid-shaped robot, and then the antagonist is a guy. He has a shittier robot.
Yeah.
That's not human-looking at all.
No.
Even the character design, Chappie and the other police robots looked like the first iRobot robots, and then at the very end when Yolani becomes a robot, her facial appearance is very similar to the iRobot.
With the shiny black eyes and the very white.
This movie's basically Johnny Five. Right down to the
/RoboCop.
/RoboCop. But more so Johnny Five is an Indian inventor, just like this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in Short Circuit 2 where Short Circuit bumps into a bunch of thugs in New York. Because it's it's like Gremlins 2, Gremlins in New York.
They have to do that. Crocodile Dundee.
In New York.
You bump into thugs. I mean, this is a knife.
All the thugs, they see Johnny Five and they dress him up like a thug. He's got the gold chains, he's got the bandana, and his creator sees him
and
when he comes
the
back
same
to the
thing with
warehouse.
Chappie.
And that's what I'm saying. This movie's great and everything, but the entire plot almost feels like it's taken from that one scene. And 50% of the movie is just Diane Ward music video, and the other 50% of the movie is homage to existing robot movies.
Yeah, but I think during the movie too, you if you sit back and you look at it morally, there was a battle between good and evil throughout the whole. The reference to the creator, right?
They put the mommy on the right shoulder.
That's right. Yeah.
And a picture of daddy on his left shoulder.
Yeah.
The good and bad. And you're right. They made a point to have one character known as the creator. One character is mommy. One character is daddy. The fourth character is named America, which clearly has some symbolism. I'm curious to what that is.
And there's tons of American flags throughout the whole movie. I think she died with an American flag or something.
I think so.
On, you know what I mean?
And he's the only character that is a main character. When he dies, they don't try to resurrect or bring back. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was a comment on America as a whole.
Yeah, and also the whole thing when you see Daddy.
Yeah.
He was totally a dick throughout the whole movie, and he even left Chappie out to teach him a lesson, right? And he got beaten up and got firebombed and he wouldn't fight back, right?
Well, see, that's what I was saying about the movie feeling like a music video. In the expansion of disbelief is because I get the point of why he did that to the robot, but you're watching and you're like, you need this robot for your heist. You're not just gonna leave it in a bad neighborhood. but he's doing like what a dad who's like had hard times is trying to do. You know, you want to give your son the terrible experience first before life does it, because the creator gives him a set of rules to follow, and daddy's like, that's real cute, but that's not how the real world works.
I think also he was jealous too. Mommy was showing him like how to be a good person, you know, like, oh, don't you? And you know, one was almost like, it was almost like the creator wanted him to be, you know, a decent robot, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And Mommy wanted him to be like a functioning, caring robot, and Daddy wanted him to be a gangster, to something to profit off of, almost like a slave or a.
Oh, you know, you're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, I just realized, like, not one of the characters initially cared about him for his own benefit. The
No,
creator
it was so selfish.
Yeah, the creator only cared about him because, like, he created artificial life, and whatever he did would affect how people see, like, his invention.
Yeah, he didn't care that his battery was broken and he was going to die in like 3 days.
No, he knew that ahead of time.
Yeah.
He just wanted to see if it would work. You know, Mommy, like, I might be reading a little more into it, but, like, you know, clearly she wanted to have a baby.
Yep,
And she had one in Chappie, and then, like you said, you know, Daddy saw him as a weapon.
that's right.
Really that simple.
In more than one way, though. Saw him as a weapon in the relationship because Mommy was loving him.
Yes, and then saw him
Right.
as a weapon, like, we're going to use you for the heist.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out is that America, I got the strong opinion, because the character didn't have to be there. He literally, I think he did one thing, you pointed out, but besides that, he added nothing to the story. He just
No.
kind of agreed with whoever he was with. And my theory is, you know, this is the first and last film to ever star Diane Ward. I assume that he was put there in case that, you know, they couldn't act, because they're carrying the whole
I
film.
agree with you because I think he didn't do anything other than to explain a conversation and be able to act that conversation out.
Or be like, oh, that's tight. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah.
Like, if you would have told me the original script, like, or maybe they had a backup script where, like, America has way more dialogue, like, I wouldn't be surprised. You could definitely tell that it's just a CGI guy in a costume.
Yeah, the movements weren't like when you watch the movements, the center torso when you've seen Chappie walking, it wasn't moving like a robot.
A
Just
robot,
the weight
you know?
shift. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Like, a robot's torso probably weighs 500 pounds. So they're not, like, Chappie was so light on his fucking feet, is all I'm saying.
Or more. I've never weighed a robot. So I
No,
don't
me
know.
neither. Well, there was that one time where, like, you know, I didn't break down any numbers. Like, the director, I don't know his name, but he's directed at least 3 films now. They all take place in South Africa. District 9.
That was kind of. It was a good movie. It's a little weird.
The one thing I was with his director, I've only seen 2 of his films. He likes to use documentary style in the beginning of his films to kind of speed up the story. But he doesn't, like, stick to it. He kind of drops it off. Like, remember in District 9 where, like, the first half of the movie was a documentary and then all of a sudden it just isn't?
Yeah.
And this movie kind of did the same, where in the beginning, like, all the information about the robots is just given to us, like, really quickly through...
You're right. It was almost like you were watching a TV screen.
Yes.
The first beginning of the movie. Like, it was almost like it was news reports. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get dumped into the action, right?
Yolani did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and she's weird. She's, like, devilishly sexy.
Yeah.
And that's funny. I think that's why. But I also see the intelligence in their music, meaning that...
She looks like an albino with fetal alcohol syndrome. Sorry, you were saying something?
yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think so. You don't think so? Like, if someone told you, like,
She got something going on.
she has fetal alcohol syndrome, you would be, like, shocked. You'd be like, okay, I see it now.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, she's not... She's a nice-looking girl. She's a little bit too skinny for me, but she's kind of carries it off.
I feel like a lot of the weirdness of her appearance, too, is that she kind of goes all the way to look weird. Like, she has those ugly...
Yeah, she got, like, the
bangs and-
flat bangs and... you
Sure,
know-
she uses a lot of powder on her skin to look pale, you know.
Oh, yeah, she totally wants... But she got them little... she got, like, the buck teeth that she uses in her, you know...
Yeah, she can get those fixed if she wanted, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But
know.
she's... And that's what makes her sexy, I think. Like, she's, like, almost... She's a real person.
One thing I found, though, interesting enough, looking at the fun facts, and I don't know, this must have been done intentionally, but Chappie is a type of South African gum. It was
I
fun.
watched the movie. I thought it was a great movie. I bought the movie, put it on the shelf, you know, and I never thought about watching it again. But then when Kyle, now I actually want to watch it again because I noticed there's little Easter eggs in the movie as well.
Yeah, I even tried Googling the Five thing, and ironically enough, all that came up was Johnny Five references. I feel like my opinion's biased about the film because, you know, I really like Diane Ward. But I would give the movie, 3.5 out of 5 stars. You know, I get why it bombed in the box office, but I enjoyed it.
I can't judge a movie based on how many people go to see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. I would have never seen that movie if somebody didn't say, "Hey, let's go see this movie," right? It didn't. It was like it didn't do anything for me. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, "Wow, this is actually a pretty good movie." And then I went and bought it because I said, "You know what? I'll watch this again," right? And at the time, and I do understand the bias towards them because when I knew that they were the band and I rewatched it, I would give it probably a higher rating.
But you enjoyed it more.
I enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
And when you said, "Oh, did you know that these guys are in the movie?" I was like, "Really?"
Do you think that they are playing themselves? Or are they thugs who are obsessed with the band and got plastic surgery to look like the band, and that's why they're so much dead? Because there's scenes where we see them playing Diane Ward music. It's not just the soundtrack; they're playing it in the car, and she's wearing a Diane Ward like hoodie. So clearly the band exists within the